3. We're number 3, buddy.
I can't believe it. We're on a rack and stack tear here, Randy.
We are on a tear. Rack and stack number 3, and then we're going to have a 4th, which we won't be recording for production purposes, or maybe we will. Who knows? But after this, with another great friend, Ben Gay III. So we are just having a day of it.
It is a day, and I got to tell you, any day that ends with or begins with Ben Gay III is a good one. But before we even get to Ben, we've got to talk to the Marvel villain, Joe.
The Marvel villain of marketing. I wrote that
That's
down
right.
because I'm almost like wishing. I mean, we just got done talking to Jay Money, and now we've got the
right.
Marvel villain of marketing. I mean, it's hard to get any better than that.
I got to tell you, I used to think that you and I were the colorful characters here on the show, but we've never had a villain on the show yet.
Now we got a villain. I think it'd be great. So
Yeah, awesome.
let's go get Joe and talk about something exciting other than because we'll sooner or later we'll go to you stealing my food and nobody cares anymore because I get no response on that, no sympathy anymore. So
yeah, that's because they know you're mean.
I am mean, but I am only when it comes to my case.
I said there's never been a villain on the show, but now that I think about it, I think you are a villain.
I might be a little bit, but only if it involves quesadillas and the last little drop of Dr. Pepper.
That's right.
All right, let's go.
All right,
let's go. Let's go get Joe. All right.
Okay.
There he is, the villain himself. How you doing, brother?
Hey, really good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for taking the time to jump on. I love the world of marketing, and I love the world of construction in the metal roofing industry and areas that I play in. And so to have a guy that's the marketing guru that you are, and also very actively involved in the amongst other areas, obviously, but the metal roofing world, it's just great to have you here. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, so we first met at Instinctive Metals, your clients, and both of our clients are your clients from a marketing standpoint and clients of mine from a product standpoint. And we met at an open house, and we was talking off air. I was telling Wes, you were doing shooting some B-reels, and man, you're like on forklifts and hanging from the balcony like Batman, which is thus the Marvel villain of what do we call it? The Marvel villain of marketing. I mean, you were playing the game out there, buddy. That was some good stuff.
Well, I'm a big fan of the technical side of digital marketing, and I think a lot of firms they've just offshored it. They're really not doing the heavy lifting on the back end. Like, for instance, we're what we're considered as a medium-sized firm. We're operating in 8 different states. We spend upwards of $60,000 a year on AI and other subscription technology that we attach to every new client's website. So we're doing the stuff on the back end. But what you saw us doing, at a client when we were shooting B-roll and photography, I mean, we're just nonstop because anybody, and I literally don't mind talking about all of our little secrets of AI and what we're doing to optimize websites and tricks of the trade and sales funnels that we create for each client, because people are so damn lazy that they don't do the boring stuff well. And what they try to do in the marketing world has really been taken over by a lot of people that they're trying to automate every element of it, and they forget that you need to be able to do things like still get on the phone, do phone sales, do email marketing. We've had a resurgence just in the last 3 years of using the post office. I mean, our direct mail is wildly successful. I mean, we do these oversized postcards, and if you work with the post office, they'll help you to do it cost effectively, and the targeting is amazing. So anyhow, doing the boring stuff well is really important to us. And I guess, Randy, that's what you were seeing when we were at Instinctive Metals doing photography and video.
Yeah, it was. And you're so right, Joe, because, when you do the boring stuff that nobody else does, you automatically become more visible because you're doing the stuff nobody else does. It's like the postcard. Sending a postcard, nobody does anymore because everybody wants to do it all automatic, digital, quick, out of mind, hit a button and 9,000, 9 million, whatever the number is, goes out. But what about walking out to your mailbox one day and you pick up this card, right? And you go, oh, there's something from Instinctive Metals. That's kind of interesting. I wonder what this is. Because they didn't get anything else maybe in years like that, right?
Quite a while. I used to worry. I'm 66 years old, and I used to worry that maybe I'm kind of aging out of marketing, because I was here at the dawn of the internet in the late 80s, and I'm still here. But it's just, I've learned those lessons of legacy media, and I considered direct mail as part of that. But we still do newsprint buys. I'm doing, like, one of our favorite and smallest clients is the Eaton County Fair in Michigan. We're operating in 8 different states, but still, I love this little fair. It's not little; it's pretty good size, but we still do traditional media. Weekly newspapers, posters. Every year we use yard signs, and I've got somebody on the road today out sticking up yard signs and posters and within a 30-mile radius and directing people to the fair, because there are a lot of people in rural Michigan that they're not online. So anyhow, you just got to be creative and willing to work your butt off.
You do. So I know here, this is an open-ended question because I know the answer already, and you're going to go on for a while on this one, which I love. But for people that actually believe that I don't really need to do any of this big M word, right? The marketing. I just need to sort of open up the doors and make some widgets or two and really nice widget and price it right. But then nobody's buying my widget. How important is marketing? I know this is the open end part, but how important is marketing? Why do we need to do it? And a follow-up to that is, what if you're fairly busy? Well, I don't need to market because I'm busy.
Yeah, I'm actually working in a couple of industry segments right now, and what I'm seeing is these are segments that are they're businesses, large businesses. This is the $50 to $80 million annual revenue, gross revenue, and they've always gotten by on traditional media or very little media, word of mouth. But now there's little upstarts that are coming in with these really disruptive ways of doing business. I don't really want to mention the industry because I don't want to give them a black eye, but
right.
There's disruptors coming in at a national level, eating the lunch of the local mom and pa's at a regional level. Smaller companies that are only operating in a 6-7 county area, and but they've always gotten by on word of mouth. Well, and that's slowly being eaten away, and in some industries it's happening so slowly they don't quite realize it. Or the other thing that I'm seeing in these older traditional capitalistic businesses is they're actually getting they're so close to retirement, they just got to heck with it. I'm going to let it ride, and as I get closer to retirement, then I'll sell off to a major, another larger company and go that route. So I see some of that going on, and that's just too bad to see, realistically. But to answer that question, do people need marketing? I get that a lot, and our firm, we don't do RFPs. We don't sign contracts. I've always thought we've been doing handshake deals in marketing for 38 years now. And our average client has been with us for over 15 years. We've got a couple that have been with us for 30 years. So when we get a client, we do what's right and get them results, and people hire us. And by the way, everything I'm saying right now, if somebody's out there that owns an ad firm or a marketing firm, just keep in mind my approach is it doesn't get you rich quickly. I'm doing extremely well right now. I'm building wealth, but that's only happened like the last 10 years. So, doing things if you work your butt off and you're really honest and you don't overprice your product, it's a slower growth mentality. But I've always had a good income. But like I say, in the last 10 years, it's just really ballooned. So my strategy for business growth has always been a slow one. So I was an overnight success in 38 years. But the thing that always comes up is, what kind of marketing? Well, there's two basic ones that I like to share with people. And one of course, is brand marketing, or institutional marketing. And that's the one where you're just getting your name out there. So when people are ready to buy, because that's what brand marketing is all about, is for people to make the choice. They don't know who you are. So you just put your basic brand out there. You're not asking for a sale, because the problem is, like Art Van. I mean, we all know what the Art Van was all about. For years, Art Van was very successful in just having a sale every single day,
Right.
Constantly. Zales, another one. So, but the problem with that, people do get a little burned out on that messaging. So we like to have a, it depends on the industry, but we like to have, you should be considering doing about 40 to 60% branding. So your name is just slowly out there all the time. And then the rest of the percentage of your budget, use that for direct response advertising, where you're running a sale and you're asking for a price. But that price, constantly hammering on direct response, it burns people out. It's hard to constantly hammer on price all the time when you're actually, doing email marketing or direct marketing. People stop at a certain while, it becomes noise and people don't see it.
Right. That makes sense. So with the, you hit on earlier about the website, and I think websites started, late 80s, mid 80s, they became big.
Mid 90s. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I think the interesting thing, my take was, very shortly after websites came out, started to become popular, a lot of people jumped right on it, and there's a whole lot of people that said, I don't need a website. There's no purpose to a website. A website's not going to do me any good. And then it wasn't long where if people couldn't find your website, you didn't exist, right?
Right.
And I feel like that's where we are now. Again, love it or hate it, doesn't matter. That's where we are with social media today, is the same place we were back in the 80s and 90s with the website. Is if you don't have a social media presence, where if I'm looking for something and I don't find you, I don't see your stuff, but I see this other guy's stuff, automatically I think, again, his stuff is better than your stuff, only because I'm seeing it, and I'm not seeing you at all. By default, you lose. And isn't there a lot of that in today's world?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When it comes to, most people are overspending on their digital advertising. I'll just say that right up front. Like for instance, and also there's a couple of things that I drive college professors in marketing mad, because I say things like, don't waste a lot of money on organic. I mean, a lot of digital marketers, I literally had two different new clients last month come to me, and they showed me that, we've been hiring this firm and they've been doing our organic, and it's been going on for a couple of years. They're really creative. And I looked at what they were doing and we dug into it. There's nothing there. I mean, yeah, the stuff was attractive, and it was, production value was high, but there was nobody clicking on it. Nobody was sharing it. Nobody was really even seeing it. Mm-hmm. But this firm was just really good at salesmanship, and these people thought they were doing pretty good. So we told them, cut your budget in half and start. Don't necessarily try to go after organic, because most products, and I hate to say it, and here, us folks in the roofing and siding business and building construction in general, it's not an organic thing that's going to capture people's attention. New pair of new style of tennis shoes, new cars, new music, new alcohol, all those things that people are interested in after 5 o'clock when they get out of work. Those are the things that can get organic. You can get an organic bounce off that, or there's a lot of ways to get organic bounce, but those are some of the more traditional ones. You've got to have a product that people enjoy in their private time. So what I'm getting at is there's also a downside of trying to be a slave to organic. And that is, with organic, you're being served up what the algorithm of that social media platform wants to give you, period. Or you could fall down, to build an organic audience, sometimes you've got to be so repetitious in what you're offering that it's not really doing your company that good because you're not hitting enough audience segments. So I'm not a huge fan of organic. It takes a lot of work, a lot of production value. And unless you're in a fun industry, it's really tough to do. So there's ways around this. I'm a huge fan of buying your audience, doing paid posts, because now if you want to reach left-handed blonde virgin plumbers, you can. There's levers in the back end of each platform to do that sort of thing. So go buy your audience and you can do audience segments. So when we run a post, we're not just selling a product or a company's product. We're actually the post is actually geared towards a specific audience segment. So anyhow, I hope that helps. I hope that helps viewers.
Oh, it does. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So let's speak to some of the work you do in the metal roofing world specifically. What do people want to see? Do they want to see all this nuts and bolts and shiny objects, or do they want to see finished product? Do they want to see the more personal guy on a forklift and the guy in the office working on an estimate, the guy bin and trim, or is it a combination to both?
I think it's maybe 15% insider stuff of what you just mentioned, the inside the shop, showing the people, showing a nice clean shop floor, an orderly stacking of the inventory, maybe showing some customers, but then eventually, go straight to the emotional stuff, which is drone shots of these beautiful roofs and maybe really nicely laid out construction areas that had a great lay down area, and the product is being placed in there. But then, of course, also the money shot of just the end product. People want to see that. They want to be inspired. I mean, Instinctive Metals, that client that you had mentioned of ours, he was just showing me some custom chimney caps, two, I don't know what you call it, but it had two things coming out of it. Chimney things.
Two chimneys, a dual chimney cap. We'll go with that.
Please don't tell my client that I couldn't even spit that out. But it was so cool because it was made out of brass or it was made out of copper. I don't know which one. It had a little bit of a patina on it. And I was just immediately, it was a drone shot of one of their competitor. And I remember saying, oh my God, I want that on my house. So yeah, you want that wow emotional factor. But it does take a little bit of both because you want to excite the end consumer, but you also, the architects see that all the time, and roofing contractors that are putting bids together, they see that all the time. So you do want to also stress the other elements like delivery and quickly ordering and like the Instinctive Metal guys. Like the reason why we took them on, and we're very careful of who we take on, because we only want to take on people that have got a divergent strategy, not necessarily a great marketing plan, because strategy and planning, I know these people that say strategic planning, it's not a word. It doesn't. Strategy was devised by the Wharton Center of Business, and strategy is it's not playing to play. Strategy is actually beating your competitors. So you got to come up with a divergent strategy that's actually different than what people are already doing. And that's the big game changer. So many people want to do planning, and planning is like, we're going to spend this much on TV, we're going to spend this much on direct mail, and we're going to spend a whole bunch of money over here, and we're going to have whatever dancers in our ads. I mean, you're just pretty much playing to play. I mean, what we're trying to do is, we want to pick those companies that already have a different way of selling the product, a different way of delivering the product. So that's the kind of companies we want to represent. And then the marketing, as we start to work with them, it will morph and just take off in different directions, not just digital. Like, for instance, we represent the propane. I don't know, Randy, you let me know if I'm going on too much.
No, this is good stuff.
There's the divergent strategy that we came up for the propane business. The propane industry, and it's no secret that utilities, natural gas, are building. They're building pipes deeper and deeper into rural areas, and rural areas throughout the United States are heated by propane. And what's happening is they've got to start to look for other areas to sell propane to stay in business. So propane in fueling vehicles is a new big growth area. Surprisingly, there's 30,000 trucks in Michigan running on propane, and 30, I believe it's over 30,000 in Ohio running on. So there's more and more fleets running this, and they hire us to do that. Well, we actually, again, a Divergent strategy was we had them buy a propane vehicle, and it's called Take the Test Drive, and we actually have this truck on the road being scheduled, taking out to fleet people, and they get to kick the tires and check out the engine. It comes with an expert that can explain how to do the conversion and where all the money savings are. And it's ideas like that where it's not easy. You know what I mean? We got to drive the truck out there and we got to get it back. And, but that's marketing, man. It's not just throwing out, because, you know, we've had this client for 30 years, but we find that digital marketing, yes, it's important and it's very good, but it's the direct mail. It's the direct contact, going to conventions and having a truck there, putting on seminars. I mean, seminars are huge business. Our firm has its own TV studio, and we put on live seminars in there for various audience segments, and it works out extremely well. But again, you got to constantly think up new ideas to do something that other marketing firms aren't doing. So our ideas have to be divergent every year from our other marketing competitors, as well as the company's got to be divergent.
Well, it's that, and you hit on what you're just saying. I'm thinking it's that ever evolving process, right? Whatever's working last year doesn't mean it's going to be working this year or in the same aspect, right? You got to adjust. You got to multiply, divide, add, and subtract, right? You've got to figure out what's working, what's not working, build upon it, look at new ideas, and I think that's an area that we talked about earlier, that people they look at marketing as that almost a secondary. I guess somewhere in my business 101 course somewhere it said I should plug in a couple bucks for marketing, so I guess I probably should do that.
Yeah.
What can I do? Oh, that's easy. I'll do a print ad. That'll take up a little bit, and I'll do this radio ad. And there, I spent my 2% that I'm going to budget, right? With almost like, and then they wonder why they didn't get any results from it, right? And,
oh my God, you're talking about the commoditization of marketing, and it just blows my mind. These two companies I talked to you about earlier that we just brought on, we don't bring new clients on very often, but they both had some guy, and the other one had some woman, and it was just one person, and then I could tell what these two people were doing is they were just offshoring it overseas because their stuff just did not have the cultural literacy of coming up with a campaign that would speak to Midwesterners. It didn't speak to West Coasters, East Coasters, Southerners. I mean, you've got to have that cultural literacy of America. And we're a dozen different countries when you really break it down. I mean, you know, the big national companies know that, but for a small Midwest company, you gotta have a marketing firm that will understand how to expand them down south, because it's a slightly different animal.
Oh, exactly. And you can either the danger, right, Joe, if you don't take that cultural differences from part of the country to part of the country, either at the least bad is it's just not effective. Worst case, you might actually insult people. People in the West Coast look at us in the Midwest as a bunch of honky tonkers, you know, out in the hayfield, right?
Yeah, we're slow talking, a little dull. I make that joke all the time, man. I'll get some East Coast person that's talking or West Coaster talking a mile a minute, and I'll just tell them, "Hey, I'm from the Wide West. You got to slow it down, man."
Yeah, I'm still on hello. I don't know where you are.
Right.
Oh, but I think that so the I think a key takeaway to that is one size does not fit all by any means, right?
Yeah, and you've also got to and I think marketing firms have also got to really realize that, like, when they're not a good fit, even once you take a client on, and you might want to bow out. I mean, I was just thinking of a time I've ever done that, and I haven't, just because I'm just I'm a dog that can hunt. If I don't know a product, I'll learn it. And that's another area of that always you talk about, you mentioned that marketing has become a commodity. And anytime there's a graduating class of any college, the tens of thousands of colleges in America, there's a new marketing firm opened up. And yes, a lot of them are commodities and they're just doing standard stuff. But people don't realize there's a real art to it. I mean, there's a reason why large marketing firms or large marketing departments of companies cash flowing hundreds of millions of dollars a month. They've got floors of people like my firm. I mean, thousands of them, and they'll even employ not just software developers like we do, or we got what's called a full stack developer. That's one of the higher echelons of back-end web development, but they'll have physicists working for them to program their website to work for a global community. So there's vastly different flavors of and skill levels of marketing firms. So I don't know. I'll tell you what, it must be awful to have to hire a marketing firm because they all are kind of saying the same thing. And in the roofing and construction industry, they're all doing it's kind of the same thing. They're all charging anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000. It's just really bizarre that it's that same amount of money. When we take on a client, this is something new that we've just started in the last 5 years, is we'll just start doing the marketing, and 3-4 months into it, then we'll sit you down and just say, what's this worth? And let them give us a number. And if it's too low, I'll say, okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep working to get your sales up, but eventually I want 5,000 or I want 6,000 a month. So we can get a little pricey, but we'll literally work for free for a few months. Because we choose clients really well. We're pretty good at reading people, and that process seems to work out quite well, just because there's I mean, versus just saying, oh, $4,000. And that's what a lot of firms do. Because a lot of firms, I think what they do is they make that mistake of just trying to get revenue. They're saleswomen that are just out selling a product, and they're just trying to get a reoccurring revenue. And once they get it, no, we're much more hungrier than that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And see, again, you are taking it as something that I love this conversation. You've taken it out of the transactional and it's really into the relationship, right? And you just, with what you just talked about, so took it out of the transactional, because there literally was no transaction at the start. It's let's just develop a relationship. And at the end of the day, if this doesn't work for both of us, we walk away, right? Yeah. But if it does work, then we do expect to get paid for it, right?
Yes. Yep.
And they're happy to pay it.
Yeah. And, for those viewers out there, we only onboard maybe 1 or 2 clients a year. That's it. And although we had a massive client come in from Washington, I just forgot about that one. I mean, this year it's going to be about 4, but 4 that we brought on. But one of them is $500,000 a year. So that one is that one we did not make that monthly offer thing. Yeah, what we like to try to do is make sure we got that mix, because we have some really large companies. Our average company that we're dealing with is in the 40 to 80 million annual gross revenue, but we have a couple that are much larger than that, but just a few. But to keep, I don't know. I don't know why. Actually, I'm not even sure why, but we do think it's important to continue that mix of small, medium, and large clients, just to keep maybe just to keep sharp.
Well, I think it keeps sharp, and I think that's again, some diversity from that standpoint is I think that's a winning proposition in business in general, right? The old, go way, way, way back to the olden times, back when you and I were kids or before. The old put all your eggs in one basket, right? Argument, and I think there's something to be said to have. I like the theory of if there's an area you're best at, then let's put a whole lot of eggs in that basket. But we still might want to have another basket or 2 around, just sort of, even if it's nothing more than keeping it sharp, right?
Right. I'll tell you, man, that's another thing that really turns up. If your marketing firm is big into sales, I'll tell you what, then you can be a lot of them are just going to this, oh, we only handle literally, there's a lot of marketing firms that just handle plumbers and what was the other one? They usually mix. Oh yeah, appliances, furnaces, HVAC, and plumbing. They specialize in that, but it is really a misnomer because I'm a huge fan of having that, what you just talked about, that diversity, because you learn from different industries, and if you're on a one track, it's great for sales. I mean, if you're going to start a marketing firm, you can say, we specialize in this and this and this. If you look at our website, you can tell we got some deep chops in a lot of different areas, but we learn from each one. So I think that's important.
Well, it is. And I love that comment right there, because it made me think about a conversation I had at a talk I gave somewhere recently, and talking about networking and the importance and the value of developing a diverse, broad network of people outside of the industry you're in. That goes without saying. I'm going to network with anybody and everybody all day, every day within my industry. That's important.
Yeah.
But I find it's equally important to network with people completely out of my industry, because the one problem with any industry, and almost all industries are small per se, is you develop a groupthink. I don't care West Coast, East Coast, North, South, we can take all that, but there's still a certain amount of think within an industry. We talk the same, we use the same language, we have a tendency to see and feel a certain way. There may be some edges to that, but I like having conversations with people in a totally different industry, because they are coming from an area that I'm going, what'd you just say? I don't even follow that. Come back again. Yeah. And man, do you learn a lot, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That is exactly why I never thought of it that eloquently. But that's exactly why we think it's important to have a variety of clients, a variety of industries. And I think it's just absolute BS when somebody says, oh, we specialize in this area. Small business people and medium-sized business people, they think, oh, that makes sense. Well, you've also got your staff that's burned out, because if you're only representing plumbers, and I love plumbers, and we do actually specialize in plumbing and HVAC, but that's one area. But your staff needs diversity. You need diversity. But I think what you just touched on, the day-to-day diversity of working on different areas, that's just good for everybody in the company. But what you just said, as far as the cross-learning from one industry, and you can take those ideas into another.
Yep, exactly. So as we kind of wind down, because you've been kind with your time, and I appreciate that, Joe. So you got a pretty nice marketing funnel. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, if the production could put that up, that'd be awesome. Oh, there it is. Good.
Look at that.
Put it up. I had it up just in case. I'm terrible. I'm very visual. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a hardcore dyslexic. I never got through high school or grade school. Never got through college. I attended those things, but just never got through anything. So I'm very visual. What you see here is a typical marketing funnel. This is what a lot of digital marketing firms use. Our take on it is slightly different. It's always evolving, but basically, these are the three things that people need to do with their marketing. And this could involve whatever marketing that you do. If you go to trade shows, or if you go to do digital marketing or traditional marketing, what you want to do is a certain level of brand marketing, and that's what's called creating interest, and just finding just to be a choice, your company, your product or service to become a choice to people. You just want to get the name out there, and we'll do things like for instance, this is a chiropractic example. It's one of the areas of our expertise. We represent the Michigan Chiropractic Association. So what we'll do is we'll have a number of marketing that's called whatever is trending online, or whatever trending in magazines and print newspapers. We will do stories on that, so we can get a lot of eyeballs on that story or an update to the story. So we'll go with trending articles. And when you go to our pages, and we get tens of thousands of people to go to our pages, in this case, it would be a website for the industry, or for the profession of chiropractic. They go there and they read more about trending health topics. Like for instance, one that we just recently did was pickleball is all the rage. So we had a Michigan pickleball, a comprehensive Michigan pickleball website that talks about everything pickleball and how you can stay in the game with health. It's for all the health elements and exercises that you can do to stay healthy, and where all the tournaments are, where are all the big clubs for pickleball, where they can learn how to do it, all the resources. But halfway through that website, there is a subtle call to action that says, why it actually, one of the phrases is why pickleball players choose chiropractic. And then there's a short message there. And then under that is find a chiropractor near you. So we had to get the maximum number of people to their website. We create interest with a trending topic that's already trending online, our artificial intelligence. And we got a couple of humans here that are scanning the internet for that kind of information. Then we put that information on a blog, or either a blog or a website. And then within that, towards the bottom of that, then we have a call to action. And I could go further in the weeds, but that's basically it. If people just think of your marketing, and you can also do price marketing. That's a great thing if you're having a sale during a slow period of time. All that stuff is great, but general branding, this is a good way to do it. Create interest, then have a call to action somewhere in once you get the people to your site, further down the site, and then of course ask for the sale. We always have that in there.
Yeah, that's what's a good thing. Something that the great some of the greatest interest, or not interest, but thing that I find in the especially in the home improvement world is the people that they're incredible with the demos.
Yeah,
but they always forget to close. It's like, they're constantly getting the demo no's, right?
Yeah,
and it's amazing how that.
But man, I'll tell you that the building industry, regardless what it is, at the consumer side, it's very aggressive. And I mean, it's very guerrilla marketing-ish. I mean, it's amazing how many kids. I used to guest lecture at Michigan State. I stopped doing it just because I'm too darn busy. And kids, I'm too old. The kids don't. I'm too aggressive, and I hurt their feelings. And I hate to say that, but I finally I'm done with them. I hire them. Don't get me wrong. I mean, to do digital marketing and to do TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat, you got to have 20 somethings on your firm. Love them to death. Just don't want to lecture them anymore.
Makes sense.
You know what, Ray? I just forgot where I was headed with this. God, it was genius too.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. It was. I was mesmerized. I was ready to be mesmerized.
What a letdown, Joe.
No, that's okay, Joe. Hey, believe me, I've been there many a time. So, that's a good spot to say thank you. Number one, I appreciate you. It was great meeting you. He's talking about the chiropractic. Any chance you know a lady named Sarah Whedon?
Yeah, she's awesome.
She was just on our show a week or so ago. We just dropped.
Dr. Sarah is amazing, man. She's got a divergent service and product. I mean, she's a chiropractor, but she's talking about brain health, not mental health, brain health. And she's been on this journey and gathering information and going through how you can maximize your brain power. And it's exciting area. It's an exploding area in academia right now.
It is. And a closing thing, because I love to talk about, and we talked about this and where marketing plays in the world of networking. Right? I'm a big believer visibility equals opportunity, right? The more visible you are, the more things you do, whatever those things are, bring opportunity finds you. But just as an example, and it's interesting with you being on today, Joe, Zach from Instinctive Metals reached out to me 7, 8, 9 months ago, wanted to chat because he'd seen some of my Instagram video or LinkedIn, whatever it was, some video somewhere. I think saw one of my podcasts, wanted to chat. So we chatted, found out what he did, which is right within the wheelhouse of what products I'm involved with. Fast forward, he introduced Robert and I. Now we're doing some business together. They become customers and great friends. They introduced me to you by being at you were there filming some B-roll at the open house that I was at. And also then Robert introduced me to Sarah, we're talking about, who happens to be his girlfriend of the long term.
Right.
So my only point of that is not only do I have a customer and customer friends in Robert and Zach, I now have a great guest on the show and somebody that's become a friend, Sarah. You and I have met, and you've been on the show, and we will continue to converse and become friends.
All no, Randy, I'm done with you after this, man.
Well, I figured that much. I left myself open. I left myself open for that. I knew that, knowing your smart aleck attitude. I knew that one the second I walked into that one. But you know what I'm saying is that
absolutely, man.
All because you just are out and being visible. And how many of those a day does that happen?
Lecturing for the last decade guest lecturing at Michigan State University. It's the one thing, it's the weakest thing that Gen Zs and to a degree millennials have. And it's what you just laid out is their weakest point. And so when we get somebody new on the staff, man, the first thing we do is we get them on the phone, talking, selling, convincing anybody of anything. It's just such a unused gift. So for all of you older guys out there that are my age, that you've got an edge. I mean, you literally have got an edge on Gen Z because they're very risk adverse. I always tell people, especially in sales. I mean, if you want to be successful in business and successful in sales, grab a spoon because you're going to be eating a lot. Well, you'll be eating a lot of crap. I hope I can say
that. That works.
But that works because it's tough out here, and you just got to get your thick skin and. Well, anyhow, I always like to put that little jab in there about the younger generation. They're smarter than us. They understand digital media. They're going to take over the world from us, and that's great. But they've got some areas that they got to work on.
Yep, and that's why, like you said, talk about having the diversity in your agency of both sides. I had, and both of us really do have to go, but we had Wes's daughter Carson on one time, and she's in the media world, social media world, and does some really good stuff. Young, very incredibly fine young lady, and we had her on to talk one day because we all think about mentorship as older guys like me. And by the way, I really take offense to you talking about yourself being older because now I am older than you. So I don't know what that makes me, but I didn't like that. But anyway, but you think about guys like us mentoring the younger people, right? But you just hit on is so important. We need to be mentored by the younger people.
Oh yeah.
To understand, because if I want you as a 20-something-year-old to buy my product, I better come to your level and I better come where you live, so to speak.
Yeah, man.
You are not going to come find me.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. It's also part of that cultural literacy. You're right. The mentorship goes both ways.
Exactly. And which is exactly why I do some TikTok stuff now, which I never thought I would do, because I realize that the 23-year-old that's going to be the 25-year-old that's going to buy my product in 2 years as a junior buyer, if I want them to know this goofy old guy that might know something, I better go where you're living.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, you got to fish where the fish are, man. It's just
that's it. You got it. Joe, I'm going to let you go. Appreciate you, brother. As always, you're the best.
Thank you so much for letting me on your show. I've been wanting to get on here. I really appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you. All right. Cheers, buddy. All right. Bye-bye. Man, was that a fun conversation? I know I get geeked about marketing and geeked about social and geeked about just everything in the industry. And that was a good time. I knew it would be from the first time I met Joe. Walking around doing his B-roll. I actually started just a little bit. I mean, it was like 13.5 megaseconds or nanoseconds, but I was on there. But anyway, Joe really brings some really, really great stuff. I hope you enjoyed that. I got to run. Remember, live it, love it, own it. Love what you do and do what you love. And while you're at it, go make today your best day ever. Until tomorrow. Cheers, y'all.